Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Hope y'all having a good night. Welcome to Reflections with Dr. Gary Harvey. Thank you guys for joining. As always, it's appreciated. Not going to be long tonight. Actually, probably going to have another episode later this week, honestly, after some conversations with some people and some different things that kind of came to light for myself. I'm a little under the weather today, but, trying to make the most of it. But I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Thank y'all so very much. If you saw the intro there, um, we have three questions that I want to kind of take a minute and talk about. My hair is kind of messed up. I gotta get a haircut. I'm slacking. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us. If you're in, drop us a quick note, let us know you're here, say hey, say what's up, like, share, invite somebody in. Definitely appreciate all the love. But wanted to take just a couple minutes. If you saw the intro, want to talk about three questions that we can ask ourselves, right? Like everybody, we all have a lot going on in life. It would be foolish to say otherwise. It would be foolish to think otherwise. I do my best to make sure that I understand and I take a minute and try not to think more highly of myself than I should, as far as the things that I'm going through. That which might be stressful to me might be nothing to you, and what might be stressful to you might be nothing to me, but that doesn't make it any less important or less difficult or frustrating or anything to that effect. Hey, thanks for coming in and joining. We got Black Silhouette Music came in. My sister-in-law, quick shout out there, Travis Financial Coaching. If you're looking to get things together and straight and your finances in check, go ahead and check out her page. If nothing else, for informational purposes, she sends out a weekly email on Mondays, which has been packed full of information, and just want to encourage you to check her out. If you're looking to try to get things straight. I don't want to throw too much of my brother and my sister-in-law's business out there, but as young as they are and doing what they've done, they've got either house, they're out of debt, they're like, listen, like they got it together. They figured out a piece of the formula, and so if that's something that you're looking to get and you want to just help with, maybe even just a budget or just getting some things in check, establishing a savings, that type of thing, she can definitely help you out with that. So definitely want to throw you that way as well. And then Black Silhouette Music, of course, check him out on Twitch. He's got a live stream that he does, and where he takes requests and he plays, and it's on point, man. He's a good brother. He does a lot of the music for us, and he's the one that hooked up the intro and the outro for the show. So big shout out, lots of love there. But definitely check him out on Facebook and Twitch as well. But I'm glad you guys are here tonight. Again, if you are, like, share, invite somebody in. Want to talk to you tonight about three questions that you can ask yourself to help you get from point A to point B, or point H, or point L, or QRST, or whatever it is, right? And I think that sometimes we try to overcomplicate things in our life, right? We try to overcomplicate some different things, but I gotta stop for just a second. Gotta say, my 49ers, they did the thing this weekend. So we go into the divisional round, right? And then, Buffalo was looking kind of suspect this weekend, but they still pulled out the W. But I'm definitely going to have to give it up to them boys down in Duval, them Jaguars, coming back from a 27-0 deficit to win that game and move on to the next round. So, big up to them. And all y'all football fans, your teams, if they're doing it, then that's fantastic. If not, well, not so much. You know what I mean? As far as tonight, sorry, but I'm gonna have to pull for Brady and the Bucks. That kind of thing. But definitely like to give a shout out, big Duval boys. And you know what? Listen, I've been fiending. I was talking to somebody the other day. I know I'm off track. I'm chasing a rabbit. Bear with me. I'm off track. But yeah, I was talking to somebody else the other day about one of the big things that I miss from Florida, from down south, is Waffle House. I know it sounds stupid, but you know, to go in and get a Texas bacon cheesesteak with extra cheese and the hash browns, and you know, listen, like burn the bacon. You know, burn my bacon. I want it crispy. I want it just burn black, right? But Trevor Lawrence, right? He gets done with the game. Where he go to celebrate? He celebrates at Waffle House, and so that was pretty cool. But huge shout out to especially the Jags and their fans that have stayed faithful with them. Man, they had a rough beginning of the year. Um, yep, he was out there for real, man. He said a violation. Nah, man. Well, I be missing Waffle House. Now my doctor don't want me going to Waffle House, you know, at all. But definitely, it was cool to see that, you know. And but with that being said, again, you guys like, share. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. That's generally where we do the live. You can always catch the recording as well. But again, three, burnt bacon was the violation. No. It's gotta be crispy. Burn it. Got to. Um, you know, but I do what I can, do what I can, do what I can. You know, when I'm down there, that's one of the places I try to hit. Actually, is a Waffle House. Um, but that being said, we'll focus. I'll stop chasing the rabbit for just a second, and get back here. But the three questions, right? I think a lot of times in life we have a tendency to overcomplicate things. We have a tendency to overcomplicate our dreams. We have a tendency to overcomplicate our passion. We have a tendency to overcomplicate the struggles that we go through. You know, all these different types of things, right? And you know, don't misunderstand me. It's not that it's not something to, you know, that it's not complicated or, you know, anything to that effect. I mean, you know, 100% it can be, and it is, and you know, these types of things, but we can simplify it. We can make it a little easier on ourselves. We can you know, progress from a different perspective. And you know, I think that that's important, right? So three questions to kind of simplify things, at least give you a starting point as far as where to move on and how to progress. The first question is, who are you? It's that simple. The first question is really that simple. Who are you? Do you really know who you are? Do you really know what it is that you want? Do you really know where it is that you want to go? The things that you want to do? Do you really know what it is? Like, I remember growing up, you know, you get at, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, you get asked these different things. And you know, but I don't think that we all necessarily understand how to answer that question sometimes, right? Like when you're a kid, I can definitely see it, you know, as far as that's concerned, right? You know, oh, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be, you know, a soldier. I want to be a scientist. You know, whatever, right? We've got these things as kids, but then as we begin to progress through life and we go through the various challenges that we face and the different things that come across, we don't quite necessarily know how to adjust fire, so to speak. We don't know how to take these things that we experience in life, because how often has life gone the way you planned it, right? The way that you really thought it was going to be, or how you envisioned life? Did it really happen the way that you planned it, that you thought it was going to happen, right? Many of us, the trip that we planned, of this trip of life, doesn't happen the way that we thought it would be. So we're not who we thought we were going to be oftentimes, which that's not a bad thing. Don't misunderstand me. That's not a bad thing, because some of us, we struggled trying to define who it is that we are. We've allowed circumstances that have happened to us. We have, he literally never. Yeah, it definitely feels like that. Like, honestly, yeah, most of us have these plans, these thoughts, these desires, this approach that we want to take towards life. And we get to this place and things happen to us, circumstances happen, whether it be financial, whether it be some type of traumatic experience that we experienced as a child or as a young adult, or now here we are, whether it might be medical, it might be whatever it is, whatever challenge that came our way, right? It tends to throw us off a little bit. It tends to kind of shift, cause a detour, if you would, in our approach on life. So we have to figure out, if you want to know where it is or how to get to a destination, you have to know what first. I've said this before. If you followed me at all, I talk about this a lot because I think it's very pertinent. But you have to understand where you are right now. If you want to get to a destination and you ask for directions, the individual giving you directions has got to know where you're coming from. Because I can give you directions to get to Buffalo if you're coming from Columbus, right? I can give you directions to Brooklyn if you're coming from Rochester or coming from Florida, or whatever the case may be. But if that's not your starting point, those directions aren't going to be very helpful. So the first question, if we want to change anything about our circumstance and our situation, if we want to begin to progress and really get closer to accomplishing our goals, we have to stop and we have to ask ourselves, where are we? Who are we, right? Who is it that you are? Who is it that you are in this moment, right? Whether you like that person or not, whether you want to be that person or not, whether you've reached your goal, whether you've attained mastery of the art that you're pursuing or not, who are you? And you have to be honest about those questions. Don't gaslight yourself. Don't soften the blow. Look yourself, face the man in the mirror, and ask yourself who you are. Now, with today being Martin Luther King Day, right? I believe that these three questions, I think it's pertinent, and it kind of goes hand in hand, right? If you will, if you can kind of hear it out. But it's a very powerful day today, right? A lot of people do a lot of reflection as to what happens and where we're going. I'm Ty Malone, and I love me. Yes, sir. We got to start there. We got to start there. But Martin Luther King writes, I have a dream. That's what everybody remembers. Everybody remembers that I have a dream. Everybody remembers the darkness cannot drive out darkness, and those types. I am his dream. Yeah, exactly, sir. And but they don't recall when he talks about, what, it's not just, freedom's not just given freely to the oppressed. The oppressed have to demand it. We tend to water down the message, so to speak. But in order to really acknowledge and pursue the dream, you have to ask yourself, who am I? And you have to be honest with yourself. Sometimes I don't like me. Sometimes I'm amazing. Sometimes, I walk around work sometimes and I ask them, I'll be like, hey, y'all get the memo today? And they'll be like, what memo? The memo that says I'm amazing. I'm amazing. Or I joke around and I'll be like, not only am I perfect, but I'm also Italian. These types of things. Like I like joking like that. I like playing like that, but I'm confident in who it is that I am. Why? Because I've been able to ask myself these three questions, starting with, who am I? Well, I'm an individual that's determined. I'm an individual that, yeah, I've hit a lot of roadblocks and stumbling blocks and potholes and had to take a lot of detours, but I'm confident in who it is that I am. And, hey, from Texas, you guys need to get some of that cold from up here. I need to push it down there. But you start with that question and be honest with yourself. Who are you? Who are you? That's your starting point, right? Who are you? Second question. Anybody want to take a guess at what the second question is? Don't worry, I'll wait. No, but the second question, in all seriousness, the second question is, who do I want to be? Who am I? Question number one, who am I? Question number 2, who do I want to be? And this is important. This is important. This is another aspect where you have to really be honest with yourself, right? It kind of goes back to that whole, he said, no, thanks. I can keep the cold. Yeah. I think it was 16 degrees this morning when I got out for work. I don't know what it is right now. Um, but the second question, who do you want to be? And it's like that question when you were asked as a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's important that you can look at that and acknowledge that. Who do I want to be? Do you want to be somebody that punches a clock? Do you want to be somebody that works a traditional 9 to 5? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to be an author? Do you want to be a speaker? Do you want to be in ministry? Do you want to be whatever it is? What do you want to be? Who are you? So question number 1, who am I? Question number 2, who do I want to be? And that's, again, what do I want to be when I grow up, right? And he says, me. Exactly. I want to be me. I'm comfortable with who I am, but I also want to progress. I want to develop some skills. I want to, maybe start this business. Maybe I want to plant this church. I want to start this ministry. I want to write this book. I want to, these different types of things. So that's kind of the next step. Right? What is it that I want to do? How do I want to change? And not everybody is happy with who they are in the moment. Some people feel like, they're falling short, that there's more, that there's got to be something more to life than what I'm doing right now. And a lot of times individuals that tend to feel that way, I personally believe it's an individual that hasn't found or hasn't recognized or accepted their purpose. A lot of different ways there. We can ignore our purpose. We can try to run from our purpose, or maybe we just don't know what our purpose is because we haven't had that opportunity to have that mentorship or really study it out or figure out who it is that we are. So who is it that I want to be? And so now I have to look at where I'm at and where I want to go, right? I've got my point A, I've got my point B, so to speak, or I've got that destination that I want to get to. And then the third question, to me, none of these questions, in my opinion, are more important than the other. Each one carries its own weight. And I think that's something that we tend to do. We tend to oftentimes come to a place in our life where we try to put more weight on one part of the process than another part. Listen, no part of the process is more important than another part of the process. The process is the process. If I don't complete the process the proper way, if the process for me, like when I make coquito, right? When I make coquito every year, and those of you that aren't familiar with it, coquito is a traditional Latin drink around, Thanksgiving, Christmas time. It's a holiday drink, but there's a process to follow to develop the flavors, right? To mix the ingredients. And so I have to first purchase the right ingredients. That's the first part of the process. Then I have to combine the ingredients the correct way, et cetera, right? There's this process to going through it and cooking food. And if you don't follow the process, it's not going to taste right. If you don't follow the process, it's not going to give you the desired result. See, we have to stop thinking that one part of the process is more important than the other. Each step is just as important as the one before and the one after because it's getting you from point A to point B. So in this process, the first step is asking ourselves and acknowledging, who am I? Who is it that I am? Cool. Step number 2, again in this process, who do I want to be? And step 3, that third question that we can ask ourselves, again, I told you it's not complicated. We overcomplicate this thing. The third question is, what am I doing to become who I want to be? What am I doing? Who am I? Who do I want to be? What am I doing? See, I can tell you all day long that I want to learn how to play the piano. I think that exactly, it all works together for our good if we let it. if we let the process be the process. Listen, you know what? My job isn't to dictate your process. Your job isn't to dictate my process. And I think that this is just one thing. It says a goal without a plan is just a wish. You have to plan to become who you want to be. Exactly. Exactly. You do. And see, here's my thing. My job as an individual, as a mentor, as a preacher, as a whatever, okay, is not to dictate your process. Hello, somebody. My purpose is not to dictate your process. It may be to give you some directions. It may be to suggest a pathway or a vehicle in order to go through the process. But my job is not to dictate your process, because your process it may look very different than mine. You know, if you sit down with individuals that are business owners, not all of them have taken the same path. If you talk to individuals that are pastors and preachers, not all of them have taken the same path. Listen, different things mold and shape us, and they affect us differently than they do other people. Well, that's just the way I was raised. Oh, well, it's because I'm this sign. No, 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 no. Listen, it's because you need to understand who it is that you are and who it is that you want to be. Now, what are you doing to change it? And you know, that's what are you doing to become who you want to be? What are you doing? You know, are you doing something constructive? Do you have a plan in place? Do you have a you know, do you have a thought process? Are you studying? Are you educating? Are you researching? Are you, you know, wow, most preachers won't say that out loud, but some don't understand the path of a maverick. Exactly. And see, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and it's probably not a popular opinion, but unfortunately, in the church of today, in the American church, not necessarily the church in America, but in the American church, we we go through this process where leadership oftentimes wants cookie cutter molds. And the problem with that is God doesn't speak to everyone the same way. Hello, somebody. Now, that doesn't mean that your purpose is any less than my purpose, right? Or, you know, vice versa. But God doesn't necessarily speak to each one of us in the same way. God spoke to Moses through the burning bush. Cool. How many other people did he speak to in the burning bush? Jacob wrestled an angel. How many other people wrestled an angel? See, your path and your process may be very, very different than my path and my process. See, we'll take Samson for example, right? So we have a lot of times in the church we argue about what's sin and what's you know, what's sin, what's right, what's wrong, what's this, and oftentimes those arguments are over little petty things that really honestly aren't this oh my god type of issue, right? I mean, for Samson, it was a sin for him to cut his hair, but it's that didn't apply to everyone. And see, that's something that I think we miss oftentimes in the church, especially nowadays, because we have a lot of dogmatic tradition and not heeding of the spirit or being led by actual scripture, right? So it was a sin for Samson to cut, majoring in the minors. Exactly. It was a sin for Samson to cut his hair, but it's not a sin for me to cut my hair. You see what I'm saying? And so we have to be very careful that we don't put our process on someone else. You hear me now? It's important to know what our process is, right? What am I doing? Well, I need to fast and pray. I need to get up in the morning and spend an additional 30 minutes praying, or I need to spend an additional hour a day, you know, digging in the word and studying certain things, right? Or I need to spend, you know, I need to write 2 chapters a day of this book that I'm trying to get published, right? That might work for me. That might be my process, but it might not be yours. And that's okay. That's okay. Even if we both want to be published authors, you don't have to take the same path I take, and I need to stop worrying about your path. People have bigger problems than girdles these days. They're hurting and starving. Exactly. Exactly. And so many of us are worried and concerned with everyone else's process, or who they are, or who they want to be, or what are they doing to get it, instead of focusing on who it is that I am. Listen, at the end of the day, I don't need to focus on who you are, or who you want to be, or what you're doing to get to that. I need to focus on me and who I am. Once I can walk in my purpose, now I can help you walk in your purpose. But helping another person walk in their purpose, or another person accomplish their goals, does not mean I dictate their process. Hello, somebody. It does not mean that I dictate what it is that they're doing or how they do it. They don't have to do it my way. We miss that. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and we were talking about, you can't pour from an empty cup. Exactly. You We were talking about how, oh man, I apologize, I'm drawing a blank. Um, the model of evangelism, right? The evangelist comes in the city and gets everybody saved. They have these great big meetings, and they get everybody saved, and then they send them off and try to plug them into local churches, right? They get all the local church information, they try to plug them into that information, and that's fine, that's cool. But what if that local ministry teach the word, love the people? That's it, exactly. What if that local ministry isn't prepared to mentor these people? Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Being a mentor to an individual is not dictating every step of their process. It's not telling them who they are. It's helping them realize and acknowledge who they are, helping them. It's not telling them who they're supposed to be. Okay. We're guilty of this in the charismatic church a lot, of telling people what they are and aren't called to do, and treating a calling like it's limited specifically to the fivefold ministry gifts, when really you can be called to be a teacher. You can be called to work at that grocery store. You can be called to be a musician. And no, that doesn't mean you have to play music for the church. Hello, somebody. Come on. That frustrates me, how the church has stifled individuals' growth. And you know what? I'm not saying that they've had a ill intent. I'm not saying that it was done on purpose, but it's oftentimes with good intentions, it hurts people. And so, as a mentor, when somebody comes in, one of the things that a mentor needs to be able to do, and listen now, one of the things that a mentor needs to be able to do is to step back and allow you to figure out your process. See, when you're teaching a kid how to ride a bike, right? You're running around with the training wheels on, right? And you got safe, you got them on each side, and you wobble a little bit, but it catches you before you fall. But there's got to be a point where you take the training wheels off. And there's got to be a point that even when the training wheels are off and that individual is running alongside you, that they let go. And they have to allow you to either succeed or fail. Failing is not a bad thing. You oftentimes learn and grow more, at least my personal experience. I have learned and I have grown more from my failures than I ever have my successes. And I think that it's important to recognize that if we're going to have true mentorship, we have to be able to allow individuals to discover who they are allow them to decide who they want to be, and allow them to make decisions on the things that they think need to be done in order for them to get to that goal. It's not my job to answer those three questions for you. It's my job to answer those questions for myself. It can be hard for creatives to fit in, but we are the most like God. Exactly. And you know what? I think a lot of times it's difficult for a creative to fit in because a creative is a very fluid thinker. If I can, say it like that, you can't really fit a creative in one specific container. They're able to fit in many shapes, many areas, and kind of, for a lack of better words, manipulate the thought into various ideas instead of just streamlining the idea. If that makes sense. But it goes back to, those three questions: who am I, who do I want to be, and what am I going to do to become that? What am I going to do? Who am I, who do I want to be, what am I going to do? And I can't answer those questions for you. I shouldn't even try to answer those questions for you. Hey doc, I feel like this is what I need to do, but I don't know. I don't know. What if I try it and I fail? Well, then you tried it and you failed. But what if you tried it and it blew your mind? It was more successful than you ever dreamed. It was really who it is that you are supposed to be, and you just entered into your purpose. What if, right? What if? A lot of times we hesitate and we stop because of the what ifs, or because God spoke to us one way, so now we expect him to speak to us that same way each and every time. That's not how it operates. That's not how he operates. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, God isn't always going to speak to you the same way each time. And so you have to be very careful of that. But that's a whole nother episode. We're going to cover that in one of the future episodes. But we have to come to a place where we can ask ourselves those three questions, right? Face the man in the mirror. At the end of the day, face the man in the mirror. It is you versus you, not you versus the world, not you versus this other person. It is you versus you. Are you going to become who it is that you want to be and who you're supposed to be? Hello, somebody. Listen, I encourage you, I want to encourage you to truly take a minute, ask yourself those three questions. Who am I? And be honest. Who am I? Am I happy with where I'm at, who I am, what I'm doing? Like, who am I? Who is Dr. Harvey as a person, as an employee, as a father, as a friend, as a minister? Who am I? And whether or not I like the answer to that question, I need to be honest with that question. And if I don't like it, okay, well, who do I want to be? And what am I going to do to get there? Three simple questions. Three simple questions that can help us move from point A to point B and truly begin to walk in our purpose. The man in the mirror is who we're the most afraid of. Exactly. Because that's the person we can't lie to. That's the person we can't gaslight. That's the person we can't manipulate, is the man in the mirror. Because the man in the mirror knows the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, knows what dreams. Listen, if you're anything like me, dreams I had as a kid aren't the same dreams that I have now for various reasons. But I still have dreams. I still have goals. I still have aspirations. And in order for me to obtain those, I've got to be honest with myself. Who am I? Who do I want to be? And what am I going to do to get there? What changes am I going to make? What things am I going to actively pursue or actively leave behind? Want to encourage you. You can get there. You can accomplish your goals. You can attain your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. You can make it happen. You got a book inside you, write it. You got a movie, write the screenplay. Do it. You got a business inside of you, listen, write the business plan. Make it plain. Start there. Do the research. There are so many we've had multiple business owners and entrepreneurs and authors and speakers and founders of nonprofits on on the show. I mean, Ty and Vibe, and what they do for the minority community. And like I said, Black Silhouette out there doing this thing with music and streaming. And my sister-in-law with the financial coaching, making a difference in people's lives. There's no reason you can't do what you want to do. I don't care if you're 23 or if you're 73. If there's something you want to do, ask yourself those three questions. Who am I? Who do I want to be? And what am I going to do to get there? Start there. Simplify it. Start there. It doesn't have to be complicated. Start there. Who am I? Who do I want to be? And what am I going to do to get there? I want to encourage you because you can get there. You 110%, you can get there. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I really appreciate it. All the love, all the support. Thank you guys. I want to encourage you to go ahead and, again, like, share, follow the pages if you're not already. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. As soon as we can get the followers up enough on TikTok, we'll be able to go live on TikTok as well. But thank you all so much for tuning in and joining us tonight, providing us with some conversation. Always love that. I love the interaction. If you catch this at another time or think of something later, by all means, drop a comment on it, or send us a message. It's always going to be up, so you can go back to it and take a look at it. But again, thank you all so very much for tuning in tonight. And as always, I'll pray for you. Y'all pray for me, and we'll catch you next time on Reflections. Y'all be blessed.